So, hello everyone. Welcome to another session of our Zoom training for ADTA. And tonight, your head instructor is Wu Chen. He's going to be taking it away in a minute or two. And so, just thank you for joining us this evening. I see some new faces that I haven't seen before. So welcome. So if you're ready to go, Wu,
I am.
take it away.
All right. Gonna highlight me.
Yeah, I will in a second.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. And this is another ADTA live session. And we are going to be talking about dry fire practice. Okay. And I'm Wu Chen, like Tim mentioned, and one of the instructors with ADTA. As in all of our events, we start off with a safety briefing. And even though we're home, we still gonna have to be concerned about it since we are dealing with weapons. Okay, so the first one, of course, is treat every gun as if it's loaded. Second is never point your gun at any object that you're not willing to destroy. The other thing is keep your finger trigger off the trigger until you're on target and ready to shoot. And then the last one, of course, is know your target and what is beyond it, because you're responsible for every bullet that you spend downrange. Okay. So what we have here, we're at my home, and I have safe direction here. I got the brick fireplace. That on that side there, if it goes through the wall, I have a grove of trees out there that's going to stop the bullets. So from here, we got two sides that are considered safe for us here. All right, dry fire practice. A lot of you guys are probably having a hard time finding ammo, and if you do find ammo, there's a huge cost now. And going to the range, you're probably limited to maybe 2 boxes at a time or whatever it is. So it's really hard to get into any live fire activity going. Dry fire is just going to be your next best bet, and give you an opportunity to work your gun, learn to manipulate it, learn its controls. One of the big things we're going to be looking at when we do dry fire is trigger control and sight alignment. And I'm using some terminology that maybe you are not familiar with, and we will go through all those as we move on. Okay. So what we're going to do here is when you dry fire, you're going to establish a place that is going to be just for dry fire practice, and what I would call the dry fire dojo, coming from the martial arts background. Do away with any distractions, kids, pets, TV, radio, whatever it is, shut everything off. Okay, so you can totally concentrate on what you're doing. So that's one of the things that is really important, is that you don't get distracted. You're going to be pretty much concentrating up here, working on those skills that you want to work on, need to work on during dry fire. So with that said, so you're coming into the room, and if you have your gun in the case, that's great. Bring it to the case, open it up, pull the gun out, and get that clear. And now I have mine in my holster right here. So I'm going to clear this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is drop the magazine here, drop that magazine out, and I'm going to go this way so you can see. I've got a round in the chamber, so you can see that fly out, and rack it one more times. Lock the slide back, and look in there, and put your finger in there to see if that chamber definitely is clear. This is really, something that you should remember to do, especially when you're in a low light situation where you can't really see down there unless you have a flashlight. Okay, so check that. Okay, that's clear. And normally what we'll do at the range would be go ahead and take a sight picture and strip Once that's done, you know that's clear. If you do not have a holster, what you do is lock the slide back and put that on your table. And that way you know it's empty, okay? So for those who have a holster, go ahead and holster your gun at this point. All right, so hopefully you come to the Dry Fire Dojo with an idea of the skills that you want to develop, okay, and work on. And there are a lot of stuff that's out there to kind of help you be successful. And let me just kind of go over some of the things that I have here that kind of give you a sense of how you can make your gun safe. This is what we call the barrel block. You have this, and you have a number of these. And this goes into your barrel, okay, sticks out through the front of the gun, the muzzle. And this is a strike plate right here for your firing pin to hit. This then goes into the magazine right here. And that way, there's nothing for the slide to take into the chamber. Okay, the slide's just gonna come back and slap. And that way you can dry fire all you want without having to deal with chasing dummy animals. Another thing you can do, if you find these, this is from Blaytech. This replaces the barrel in your gun, okay? And they're specific, of course, to each gun. Now, the other thing you want to get into, a lot of old guns, especially 25, 30-year-old guns, they're not really designed for dry fire practice. And what happens here is that the firing pin will go fast once you release it, and it could over travel, it could damage the firing pin. So what we really want you to do is kind of go through these dummy rounds, and I'm going to show you. Here's the back end of it, and here, this is plastic. All right. One of the things with this is sometimes the plastic will migrate forward, and then it gets a little too long, and you're going to have problems with feeding and unloading. So it's one of the things that sometimes you have to use a little mallet and kind of tap that down. This is the A-Zoom series, okay, and it's all aluminum. And you see a lot of these on the books at the range stores. Then you also have the Tipton units. This is plastic. It's got the spring on the inside, so when the firing pin hits, it kind of compresses the spring. And this has brass on there, so it's a little bit more longevity than the A-Zoom aluminum. If you want something that's a little heavier, and I like my mags to be a little heavier when I'm doing mag changes and such, you can go ahead and get yourself some dummy rounds, what they call it, dummy rounds, yeah, dummyrounds.com, I think. Dummy bullets, I'm sorry, dummybullets.com. And this is a real bullet there on top, no primer, no powder, and there is a hole drill in here to demonstrate the fact that it is inert. And what it is when you fill the your mag up, it gives it a sense of the fullness of it. And I like that when I'm doing mag changes, okay? But those of you guys who don't like to chase after loose rounds on the floor like I do, I have an issue going up and down, getting dizzy and such. There is this A-Zoom right here, dummy rounds, very similar to the other one, but it's rimless. You see, there's no rim on that. So it just stays in the chamber, and it does not eject. So you just keep that in there. There is also the laser cartridge. This is a laser light. And here, once the firing pin hits that, it emits a light, okay? Those are nice. The laser ones are nice from the standpoint of shooting unsighted. So you're gonna draw and shoot, let's say, for instance, in close quarter combat, when you got your hands up and you're gonna shoot from this level here, You want to be able to see where that laser is going. I don't recommend these for those of you guys who are just starting out dry firing. What you want to do is really focus on your front sight. What happens with this is that people get to a point where they want to see where the laser is hitting, and it's distracting, and it just takes away from that training. The other thing you can do is very similar to the barrel block, is what they call tap rack, okay? And these things here does the same as what the barrel block does, but it's a little bit more robust. And you can see that in here. Same situation here. Okay, you don't have to have, this does not come with this. And they come in two calibers, 9-40 and 45. So your 9-40 shares the same. Now, what happens here is that there are some guns that have what's called trigger disconnect. And what that means is that the trigger will not work if you do not have a magazine in the well. You can do a couple of things. One is you can go this route, or if you don't have access to that, take the spring and follower out of your magazine, okay? Put that aside, put that into your well, and you can dry fire all you need. So that works out really well. And then the other thing we have here is dry fire mag. If you haven't had a chance to see this in action, what happens here is this, and it's spring loaded, and it takes place of, and let me show you here, goes in, and I can dry fire all I want, okay? It's great for single hand shooting. The other thing too is that if you have an issue or a lack of strength to rack the slide, then this is really helpful, because all you need to do is rack the slide once if you have a Glock. These only come in Glock and M&P, not the Shield. And with the M&P, you just insert it in and start pulling the trigger, whereas with Glock, you do have to slot the very first one. And then after that, it's like this. So this is really great for those people who have an issue with racking the slide. Not for reload, okay? Notice it's not dropping, so you have to pull it out. Okay, so let's talk 22s, all right? 22 is a totally different environment here, and that's the fact that most 22s, your instructions will tell you you cannot dry fire these. And the problem here, of course, there are a few, like some of the Rugers and such are designed to dry fire, excuse me here. And what happens here is that the firing pin actually goes in and strikes the rim of the chamber. And let me show you that. So these are some 22s, dummy rounds, and you can see some strike marks on the rims, all right? This from A-Zoom, this from Carlisle. You notice the difference here is that the bottom is flush, this one has a hole in it. And then this is Tipton, and you can see the strike on that, all right? This is A-Zoom, and you notice what happens here. This is 2 strikes, and it's already starting to break, okay? So anyway, they need to be replaced after now and then, but the thing here is that you will need them to dry fire your 22. Now at the end of your shooting session on your 22s, when you rock that back, take your mag out and such. If you don't put the mag back in and trip the trigger, you're compressing that spring. And one of the suggestions would be take one of these, put it in the chamber, and go ahead and trip the trigger to relax the spring. Because you may be about a month or whatever before you shoot. So that's one of the things that you're concerned about. All right, so anyway, as far as the A zoom is concerned, make sure you get something here that says dry fire, okay, snap caps. They do have same thing, same blue color, but they're hard anodized aluminum. And you notice here says not for dry fire. So make sure you get the right one. All right, otherwise you're going to end up messing up your firing pin. All right, good. All right, what we've done here is we've taken the mag out. We've unloaded the gun, the chamber. We know that's empty, okay? What we need to do is now take all this stuff out, all your any live ammo, move it out, and put it away. When you come back, if you have your gun on the table, pick it up again and check it. Make that a habit, because once you move out of your room here, 1, it's out of sight, 2, it's out of your control. Even though you have everything locked up, you may have been mean to your cat. Your cat may have come in and put a round into the chamber. Hypothetically. All right. So now we're ready to go. Now you have an idea of the kind of equipment that's available to you. There's a lot of electronic stuff out there. I'm not going to touch those. So the thing that we're looking at now is set up your range. These are just sticky notes. Okay, you make your own targets, or you can go online, and these are all free, downloadable targets from various companies. So you can use those. All right. One thing I did not mention at the very beginning is that when you sign up for the class and then you went to Core Concept 5 video, there was a link to dry fire practice. And it's basically a little checklist of things that you need to do, and just follow along. It takes you through the dry fire practice. Also in the back, it has hints on drills and such that you can do on your own. All right, I think we're good there. Let's talk a little bit now that when we get into our practice itself. Okay, and I have my mags. You notice it did not stop. Okay, it just slides right on in. That's what the beauty of those are concerned. So I'm ready from here. If you just pick up from the table and come to a high ready position and dry that pistol out, line your sights on your target, and then manipulate the trigger. I'm going to go through it once over here. Okay, and you can just kind of come back, do it again, press. Okay. Now some guns will have a short reset for you. So from here, you just and ready to go again. So this is a slingshot method right here. This is the overhand method. Okay. Now what I'm talking about when I'm talking about sight alignment and all that, this is sight alignment. What we're looking at is the correct version here, where it's nice and level. The center, the front sight is right in the middle. And this is where your shot's going to be landing. If it's canted off, I give you kind of example of how the shots are going to land on the target. So sight alignment is going to be important, making sure it's going to be there. And then this is sight picture. We're going to be talking about sight picture. And what it is here is the front sight is sharp, the rear are fuzzy, out of focus, and so is your target out of focus. Okay. And here's kind of a different shot. This is, you know, sharp here, fuzzy here, fuzzy target. So those are your sight picture and sight alignment. As you do your dry fire, what you're going to do is drive this out, take a look at that, concentrate on that front sight. As you manipulate the trigger, did it stay steady? Or did the front sight move one way or the other, up, down, etc.? If that happens and you see it happening, then what we're looking at now is self-diagnosis. Okay, so when I pull that trigger, did I pull it too fast? Did I jerk it? Did I heel the gun? Did I force it down this way? Did I use my thumbs over here, thumbed it off to the side? There are things like that you're going to have to kind of do a self-analysis and correct that. One thing, this is not a cure-all kind of thing, but this is something that most of the shooters will see. This is for a right-handed shooter. There is also one for a left-handed shooter, but it gives you some idea of what you may be doing to cause that front sight to be moving off. Okay. Now, as you progress, you might want to use a timer. Okay, set yourself up for like maybe 3 seconds and see how you can do your dry fire. If you're able to do it sooner than that, then we're looking at probably changing the time to 2 seconds, maybe 1.5 seconds, and so on, to kind of improve on that. All right, let's go over trigger control. Okay, I'm going to go in this direction here. We use a 2-hand grip. One is going to be up nice high up here, and you're going to go 45 degrees in here. Point your fingers about 45 degrees down. Feel this void right here. Point your thumbs forward and go ahead and take your shot here. All right. Now, make sure when you're doing dry fire at home, it's going to be like at the range. You don't have the boom, you don't have the recoil, and you should not be relaxing your grip just because you don't have those factors. So maintain a tight grip. This is just like when you're at the range shooting. Okay. So I'm going to show you the trigger control first. The slack, you're going to pick up that slack. You're going to do the trigger prep, and then you got the break. All right. So what we're doing is here, all the way through, nice and steady. All right. Now, what I want to do is have you do a trigger reset. And this is really important, especially when you're doing follow-up shots. And I'm going to just do one hand here so you can see the prep. Okay. Pull slack, the prep, break. Keep your finger back. Now, as you relax this forward, you're going to hear this click. Okay, maybe you didn't hear it. It's nice and soft. And then you're ready to go again. Do it again. Okay, that's a trigger reset. That means you don't have to go all the way back out and back again, back out, back again, to shooting. Once you do that, you add slapping to the trigger. You're also adding little pushes and pulls. That's kind of change your muzzle direction. The other thing I want to talk about is the fact that when you're doing your trigger control, most of the time we'll tell you, put the pad of your finger on the trigger, okay? Here. Now, some guns got a very long pull and a heavy spring. And if you are not comfortable with that and you have to pull back and you got to go further, you might have to go all the way into here in order to have the strength to pull that trigger. That's okay, all right? Because you have to work that pistol. And if I have to do that, I will do that. It makes it work for me. And that's the whole idea with dry fire practice. what it is that you're working with, the equipment that you'll be using, learn the controls, learn the limitations of it, and just work on, the steady movement that's required for good operation. Now, there's a lot going on here, a lot of concentration. If you're just starting new to this thing, I would say 5 minutes, take a break. Another 5 minutes, and maybe that's it, okay? Don't go too much further, because what happens here is that you're gonna get tired and mistakes are gonna be happening, and you're gonna start introducing problems with your trigger. And that's gonna carry on into your range session. So practice, practice, and practice, but here, take the shot. With this gun, I can just reset it quickly, take my shot, okay? Just continue with that. The reason for the targets, you're gonna get bored shooting the same target all the time. So come up with some different ones to kind of give you challenges. Smaller targets here, maybe, transition. You can have like 3 targets here, 3 up, headshot, torso shot, pelvic shot. Or it could be standing shots here, kneeling shots here, prone or supines, shooting in here. And then you have targets going across. What it is, you're looking at transitioning one to the other. And so rack, shoot, rack, move, and so on. Okay, so there's lots of drills that you can do just using, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 targets. And then, of course, you can move off the X. Where you're standing at is the X, and just move. Okay, come back and move. The other thing that you should work on, because what we're trying to do with the dry fire practice here is what we do at the range. And what we do at the range, of course, is when you're going to run out of ammo, okay, or maybe you want to do a tactical reload, and you want to be able to do that. So after you take your shots, okay, and now what we want to do is a reload. Hold it up here. This is ready to go again. Take your shot. Put this away. If you want to do it again, do it again. Drop it here. Put a new one in here, and keep going. Now you can take the time and put it away before you take the shot. What I like to do is, after I drop it, retain it. So I need to assess what's going on. If I need to shoot, I'll shoot. If not, then I'll take the time to put this away. At the range, we have a tendency to drop the mag, okay? And then we put a new one in. That's fine, because you know where it is. You're gonna find it. Somebody else will pick it up, especially in competition and all that. You're moving through different stages. You're dropping your mags. They're gonna pick it up. In a real life situation, no one's gonna be picking that up for you. Okay, if you drop a mag, it's gonna be kicked. Gonna be you stepped on. Somebody might find it, turn it over to police. It's got your fingerprints all over it. Okay, they're gonna come and want to talk to you. So that's some of the things you need to consider. And for me, I prefer to go ahead and pull up, drop it, with that, retain it. Regardless if it's a slide lock, here's a slide lock, reload, okay, slide lock here. Go ahead and drop that. I'm ready to go again. Go ahead and put that up. So I have that retention at all times, okay? Oh, let's see what else we got here. I'm just going through my notes to make sure I got most of the things. You can go ahead and go through the notes, and if you have any questions at all, go ahead and email me at senseiwu@hotmail.com. My name is an address is on the ADTA website for members. So if you have, talking about equipment, besides the equipment that's there, mag holder, and holster. We carry two mags. And we normally have this. After we cleared, we go to the range with a cleared gun and two mags here, and say load and make ready, go up, right, and we go ahead and holster until we get on the line. And at the line, then they'll give you instructions as to what you're going to be shooting, what, how you're going to shoot, etc. And just follow instructions at that point. I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys for dry fire practice. Questions?
Okay, so at this time, if you have questions, just hover on your name and raise your hand. There's a little, so if you've got, if you've clicked on the participants, which is down on the bottom, so if you just move your mouse around, you'll see participants. Click on that and you'll see the list of people over on the right side. Okay. So Carl's got his hand up.
Tim, I'm going to add a little bit there.
Okay.
The control for them is down on the lower left
Okay.
of the big panel.
Yes. Okay. So Carl, I have you unmuted so you can ask the question.
Thank you. Yeah. So first of all, Woo, fantastic presentation. I've learned a ton. I tried to scribble down all of the products and processes you recommended. I see this is being recorded. I hope there will be a chance to get a copy of that. My question for you concerns the iTarget system, which is the laser indoor system. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm standing outside. Yeah, so that's the same. So do you recommend that system?
Well, I do. Actually, the laser light unit, it was on the market at the very get-go, and there's a lot of knockoffs, let's say, that's
Sure.
cheaper. These are about $95, $100 each, and then the other ones are like $50, $50 or whatever. They all are pretty much the same. They're battery operated. You hit here, and you get that, and it goes through your barrel. I won't put that in. And what you do is, when you shoot it, you got that laser light going out, and it's very similar to. Are you familiar with the SIRT pistols?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar to that. It's okay. So the laser goes out, hits the target, and gives you immediate feedback as to where you're shooting. And like I say, most of the time for this, I do not recommend it for beginners, but for those of you guys who are doing point shooting, you want to shoot right from here, you get that on target, you know where it is, you don't have to bring it up to your eye level. Close quarter combat, striking, back off, pull from here and shoot from here, give you a chance to see where your laser is going to be hitting so that you're not going up and shooting your hand. Okay, get that control right down that level. So I do recommend these because it's feedback. These are, like I say, it's about $100. These things you're looking at $400 or $500.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll look for them when I've got a little more practice then.
Sure.
Thank you much.
Also, email me if you have questions.
Will do.
And Carl, we have those, oftentimes we use those, our dry fire events. And so we have usually 8, 9, 10 of them available to use and practice with.
ADTA has 8 at each of sites, and then your instructors bring their own. So, it could be 10, 11, or 12, depending on how many people show up.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
So, Wu, I was wondering, could you demonstrate your technique for, handling both of those mags to drop?
For the dropping?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so here's the gun. Let me do it on this side. Maybe you can see it a little bit better here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this up. Remember indexing our fingers here on the both sides. Bring it up. I'm gonna push it off to this side, okay? 2 fingers. Drop this into the palm. This one here goes right in. And then I will go this way in order to retain it and make my assessment. If I need to shoot, I'll shoot from here. If not, I'll go ahead and pocket that. Okay, do it again. Bring it up. 2 fingers here. Drop, rotate, in, control, put away. Anything else?
Okay, that's gonna take some practice.
It takes a little bit of practice, but boy, I tell you what, I have not lost a mag since. What was it? Last year, late last year, we had 2 people lost the mags, and then we had to have everybody kind of, you know, take a look and see what they got, and we found them eventually, but it took like 2 months before we found them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Questions?
Okay. Anybody else have questions?
Can you hear me? This is
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah.
Hi. Thanks for the presentation. This is really great. I noticed, comparing to the notes, there definitely seems to be like a fundamentals, like sight alignment, hand grip, trigger pull, and then there's more advanced retention, pivoting 90 degrees. How often per week do you test, and then how often do you do the fundamentals? Do you do that every time you do the
Fundamentals,
or what?
yeah, fundamentals is really what you need to work on, okay? Basics. As far as you can do this all day long if you need to, okay? Very basic stuff. Get your sights lined up. You can start moving. You can do all these other things, and that is something that I would say takes the monotony out of dry fire, because it gives you movement, gives you other things to work with. So from here, let's say I want to drop the body, go down in here. You know, I can come back up. Some of the other things you might want to work on is test your dry fire skills, your trigger control skills. For instance, here, I might be on here, but if I don't hold my breath and I am breathing in, you see the sights go up. If I breathe out, the body comes down, and sights can actually make it move. So those are the kinds of things that you can really work on besides just sight alignment and such. Very basic. You do that. The thing we're looking at, the other things like movement, turning 90 degrees and such, is that if you're wandering around here like so, somebody's coming in this direction here, you want to be able to step aside, bring that gun out. And to do the other side, the same thing here, turn, do the other side. So this is something that you can work on if you wish, but basically work on your sight alignment. This is going to tell you when the front sight is moving or not moving. Now, somebody brought up the fact last time about putting a pin or a dime or something like that. Line that up, okay, pull your trigger, see if it works for you. Otherwise, if you're shaking, there it goes. That kind of stuff. It works. There's a real issue with that from what I've found with students, is that there's a scar. Because when they start driving this pistol out, they're seeing an invisible dime over here. And they're being very slow in getting that on target. So that's one of the things that I don't really quite recommend using a coin on here. It's good practice 3-4 times or so, just to make sure that you're okay with that, but then don't overdo it. Okay.
And then I have a follow-up question,
Yes.
real quick. Would you recommend focusing on just one pistol? I know most of us have multiple pistols. You recommend just one until we're sufficient with that one pistol before moving on?
Good question. In fact, that's one of the things I was going to talk about, which I did not bring up, is that focus on one gun and maybe 2 or 3 skills that you want to work on for every dry fire practice. You want to be familiar with your everyday carry. That's the first thing you really need to be working on. Okay, your home defense gun and all that stuff, you can work on that too. But basically, you're going to be out on the street. If you're going to carry everyday carry, you're going to be on the street a lot longer than you are going to be at home, needing to, get a gun out, because usually it's going to be nighttime, a certain time of the day or night, I should say. So yes, focus on one gun, maybe 2, 3 sets of skills, probably no more than that. And then next day or 2 days later, do it again, maybe with a different gun, different set of skills. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Uh-huh. Anything else?
Okay, Ed.
You're muted.
Does that work?
There you go.
There.
Okay, so I want to add this thought, Willie, get your ideas on this. Now, I dry fire practice. Something I include in mine is going through the house with the gun.
Yes.
Okay, like particularly one exercise I do is go down the hall and then enter the room left and then enter the room right, so that you get practice, holding the gun as you're shooting around the corner.
Right.
You want to talk a little bit about other things, things you can do to build your skills with basic home defense?
Well, we were concentrating primarily on beginner shootings over here, so getting the basics down. But when you start expanding into home, let's say clearing, that kind of stuff, learning to pie, that's one of the things I did not get into was your stance, because there is changes in your stance as you go clearing your room and such. You may not be in a weaver stance, but you might be in more of a car stance, the center axis relock stance, various things like that. That's going to be. I'm not going to use my gun, but I am going to use my SIRT pistol. Okay, so if we're looking at, let's say I have a concealment, I'm behind a barrier or some of that. I'm going to be looking down through here, and I am going to slowly pie through there. What we're talking about, if you think of a pie, taking a small slice. So here's the doorway, and I am here working my way around. You can also go the other direction here with the center axis relock system. I'm going to point it at you so you can see what it looks like. It's right here, okay? So I'm canted here, I'm here, I've bladed myself in here. If I'm going to be going the other direction, I change hands, okay? I change hands, change eyes. And so that if you're going around, clearing your room, you minimize the exposure to yourself. Here's an isosceles. I'm going to go right here, okay? This is the concealment right in here. I'm in here, isosceles comes out here, and you're exposing yourself. So those are the things that you need to work on, is how to minimize yourself, how to go left and right. The other thing too is shooting one hand, okay? Dry fire is perfect for that. As far as shooting from this direction, you can, but most of the time, body structure wise, you're going to be shooting from here, nice and bladed, minimize your exposure. Now, NRA, target shooting and all that is always here. And I think more and more people that are doing one-hand shooting is more toward a weaver type, an interview stance, what they call an interview stance. Okay, so you're not fully bladed like this, but more like this. So that's blading. The other thing you can work on, well, of course, you know, Ed's by himself. He has his own house. He can do all this stuff. But if you have kids, you know, you have animals that are floating around, you're going to have to do some logistics, getting them out of the house. You know, one of our rules, of course, is never point this as something you're not willing to destroy. And, you know, you may run into a kid. You might run into a neighbor. So be real careful and be judicious where you do your dry fire. That helped you, Ed?
Yeah, so where can our attendees in this meeting learn how to do this?
Well, definitely our dry fire practices. Check for those events, and then live fire, because our events basically is trying to get you into a real life situation, put you in the scenarios that are stressful, that are something that you cannot shoot or take advantage of in the lane. Because in the lanes, you're in a stall. That's all you can do is target downrange, target downrange. When we're at ADTA events, we have the whole bay available to us, and we can actually do movement. We can drop elevations. We can go from here, turn. We can go from here, turn, and shoot. All those kinds of things that we can do at the range, which you cannot do at the lane. So ADTA has that capability. We have instructors that are capable of leading you through various self-defense scenarios.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, Wu. That was great. That was a good presentation.
Good.
We have online, you can go check out the next events. COVID's, you know, the restrictions are backing off a little bit. So up in Everett, we're able to basically continue like before. So go online and sign up for the events coming up. We're going to have a dry fire the 28th of this month. And we have a fun shoot coming up this Wednesday up in Everett. So look at the web, find the events, sign up, come and join us. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Okay.
Thanks, Wu. I could watch you all day long. You're so concise with your
Thank you.
movements, and appreciate it.
Appreciate the comment.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Okay. Thanks for coming, everyone. Bye-bye.